Hello everyone, this is priyanshu, Choubey, Assistant Professor of Suraj Gyan Vihar University. Today, today we will going to talk about the soil water conservation. So let's see what is the soil water conservation. So, soil and water conservation, why it is required? Agriculture professional are directly related to soil water, important natural resources, and the basic need for agriculture production. Uh, in last century, it was been observed that the pressure of increasing population has lead to degradation of in of this natural resource. In other words, increase in agriculture production to feed the increasing population in only possible if there are sufficient fertile and land and water are available for farming. In India, out of 329 million hectare of hydro geographical area, 68 million hectare are critically degraded, while 107 million hectare are severely eroded. That's why soil and water should be given first priority from the conservation point of view, and appropriate methods should be used to ensure their sustainability and the future availability. So, soil weathering of rocks requires a thousand of years and difficult to reclamation, and water formed through a natural process once contaminated, difficult to purify. This picture showing a status of a global land degradation in show in a figure. Red area are exhibit a very degraded soil, and light yellow color is just showing here degraded soil, and white in color are showing a stable soil, and off white color here is without a vegetation area. In this picture, a projection of the global water status in 2025 and shown in a figure. So, protection project change in a water stress. Here is significantly less stressed, showing here blue color, and light blue color is a moderate less stressed. White in color near a normal condition, and creamish color are showing a dry but still low stress. Yellow color, lemon yellow color showing here is a moderately more stressed, and the dark yellow color are showing here are severely more stressed, and red color are extremely more stressed, and maroon color are showing expectantly more stressed area, and lining zigzag color block are showing here uncertainly in magnitude and uncertainty in a direction, and no data or out of area. So soil conservation and the preservation of soil conservation is the prevention of a loss of the top most layer of the soil form, erosion, or the prevention of reduced fertility caused by over uses, acidification and saltations, or salizations, or other chemical or contamination. Water conservation is the use and management of water for the good of all uses. Water is abundant throughout the Earth, yet only 3 percentage of all water is fresh water, uh, and less than a tenth of fresh water is the usable. Much of the usable water is utilized of irrigation. So important of soil importance of soil conservation in India. Out of the total geographical area of 329 million hectare, an area of about 150 million hectare is subjected to either water or wind erosion. So a net area of about 140 million hectare is cropped at present, and area of 40 million hectare is considered to be a flood pond, and area lost through ravines and the gullies in the estimated to be about 4 million hectare. As a whole, it is estimated that about 175 million hectares, that 53.3% of the total geographical area of the country, is subjected to various soils and land degradation problems like saline, alkaline soil, waterlogged areas, ravines, and gullies land area under a shifting cultivation and the desertification. By the year 2180, the projected population of the country is expected to be 2 billion, whereas the food grains production is almost uh, stand at the 211 million tons for the last few areas. The per capita cropped area is the shrinking very every day. It is the area 1950 year 1950 it was 0.33 hectare or capita, and zero point 0.2 hectare is 1980, and it was 0.150 hectare by 2000. This clearly shows that the limited land resources has to be managed very carefully uh, by adopting total conservation measure for the survival of the huge population. So soil erosion, now soil erosion is a soil detachment to transportation and deposition. A few suggestions to conserve soil and water resources in India. Context to prevent erosion of a bare soil. It is more important to maintain a vegetation cover, especially in the most vulnerable areas. Example, those with steep slopes in a dry season or a period of a very heavy rainfall. For this purpose, only partially harvesting forest example, alternate trees, and use of seasonally dry or wet areas for pasteurizer than arable agricultural land should be permitted. When intensive cultivation takes place, a farmer should follow crop rotation in order to prevent the soil becoming adjust of organic matters and other soil building agents. Where a soil or the plowed in vulnerable areas and contour plowing is that around the hillside rather then down the hillside should be used a careful management of irrigation to prevent the application of too much or too little water will be helpful to reduce the problem of soil salinity development. Livestock grazing must be carefully managed to prevent overgrazing. Construction of highways and urbanizations should be restricted to areas of the lower agriculture potential with extractive industries. Places must be secure to restore the land to its former condition before permission for quarries or the mines is granted. Soil, the uppermost layer of the earth crust, composed of a mineral and organic matter, and it is a capable, sustainable plant life. Soil depth, very from place to a place is that a nil to a several meters. The soil layer is continuously exposed to the action of atmosphere, wind, and the water in motion are two main agency which act. The soil layers are the dislodge and the soil particles and transport them. Erosion is almost universally recognized as a serious threat or a human will being erosion reduced the productivity of the cropland by removing the washing away of a plant nutrition and the organic matter. So soil erosion, the losing of the soil form, it is a place and it's a transportation more one place to another is known as a soil erosion. So soil erosion is defined as the process of a detachment and the deposition of soil particles, sediments. In general, finer soil particles get eroded more easily than a coarse particles. Eroded than a sand. Soil detachment, transportation, deposition. Detachment is dislodgement of the soil particles from the soil mass via erosive agent. In case of water erosion, major erosive agent are the impacting raindrop and the runoff water and flowing over the soil surface. Transportation, it is the entrapment and the movement of detached soil particles. Sediments from either original location. Sediments move from the upland sources through the streams system and the may eventually reach the ocean. Not all the sediments reaches the ocean. Some are deposited at the base of the slope in the reverse years and the flood and plants along with a way is called the deposition. Causes of soil erosion, the main causes of soil erosion can be uh, uh, enumerated as first one, the destruction of a nature protective cover by indiscrimination, cutting off trees, overgrazing of the vegetative cover and forest fire, improper use of land, keeping the land barren and subjecting it to the action of rain and wind, removal of organic matter and plants nutrients by injury injurious cropping pattern and cultivation along the land slope and flatty method of irrigation. Types of soil erosion according to soil erosion can broadly be categorized into the two types. Erosion may be broadly classified into two groups: geological erosion, naturally or normal erosion without the influence of the human, and agent, water, wind, gravity, and glaciers, loss of soil, formation of a new soil. Uh, Accelerated erosion, abnormal erosion, influence of a human activity, equilibrium between soil building and soil removal in disturbed. Rate of accelerated erosion, the higher than the geological erosion. Accelerated erosion depletes soil fertility in agricultural land. According to erosion agent, soil erosion is broadly categorized into four different types of water erosion: wind erosion, glacier erosion, and gravitational erosion. Water erosion is seen in the many part of the world. Running water is the most common agent of the soil erosion. This includes rivers which eroded the river basin, rainwater which erodes various landforms, and the sea waves which eroded the coastal areas. Erodes and the transport of the soil particles from a higher altitude and deposited them in a low-lying areas. Water erosion may further be classified based on the different action of water responsible of erosion, as raindrops erosion, sheet erosion, and relay erosion, gully erosion, stream bank erosion, and slip erosion. uh, Wind erosion often a witness in the dry areas. The wearing strong winds brush isn't various landforms, cutting through them, the losing in the soil particles, which are the lifted and the transported towards the direction in which the wind blows. The best example of wind erosion are sand dunes. Glacier erosion, ice erosion in a common in a cold areas region at high altitude areas. When soil comes in the contact with the large moving a glacier, it is sticks to the base of this glaciers. This is eventually transported with the glacier, and they start melting. It is deposited in the cause of the moving chunks of ice. Gravitational erosion, although gravitational erosion is not as a common a phenomena as a water erosion, it can causes a huge damage to natural as well as man-made structure. It is basically the mass movement of the soil due to a gravitational force. The best example of this a landslide, gravitational erosion. This picture are showing. Now, soil erosion agent. So, first one is soil erosion agent, and it's divided from a two-side: wind erosion and gravity. Wind erosion causes by a wind velocity, and water erosion, forms a glacier. So, forms two or three types: rainfall causes of sparse erosion and runoff, and river reservoir, and the ocean caused of soil erosion or the reservoir banks and coastal region. Runoff or surface runoff and subsurface runoff. uh, Surface runoff is a sheet or relay erosion, gully erosion, and stream bank erosion, and subsurface runoff, pipe erosion. So, gravity mass of soil movement in the form of the landslide and the fall and debris and the creep. Soil erosion is the detachment of the soil forms. It is original location and transportation to a new location. Many water is responsible for the erosion. Although it in many location, wind, glacier are also the agent causing soil erosion. Water in the form of the rain, flood, and runoff badly affect the soil when rainfall along the mountain, the buried soil and water detach the soil particles and takes away the silt and the clay particles along with the falling water. Similarly, when a wind blows in the form of the storm, it speed becomes too high to lift off the entire soil upper layer and the causes of soil erosion. Other factors are responsible for soil erosion are the human and animal activity, vegetation in the natural cover of the soil when animal continuously graze in the pasture. The vegetation is removed due to their walking, and the grazing burial lands left behind are the easily affected by a soil erosion. Activities of the human like forest cutting, increased agriculture, and the clearing of a land for a different purpose are the other agent that causes the erosion of the soil. So, factor affecting of a soil erosion, the many factor responsible for a soil erosion in India are excessive deforestation and overgrazing, and the floody agriculture practices. Floody agriculture practices, soil erosion is every a complicated problem as many complex factors affect the rate of erosion, and therefore it is difficult to solve. This factor includes a climate factor. The climate factor that influence the erosion are rainfall amount, intensity, and frequency. During the period of the frequent or the continuous rainfall, high soil moisture or saturated field conditions are developed. A greater percentage of the soil rainfall is converted into a runoff. This in turns result in soil detachment and the transportation, causing erosion at a high rate. Temperature, the frozen soil is a highly resistant to erosion. Rapid thawing of the soil surface brought about by a warm trends can lead to a serious erosion. Temperature also influence the type of the precipitation. Although falling snow does not cause erosion, a heavy snow melts in a spring can causes a considerable runoff damage. Areas with a warmer climates having a thinner organic cover on the soil and organic matter cover on the surface protects the soil by uh, shedding it from the impact of the falling rain and the helping in the infiltration of the rainfall that would otherwise causes a more runoff organic matter inside the soil, increase the permeability of the soil to causes a more percolation and reduce runoff. Topography factor, topography among the topographical factors, slope, length, and steepness and roughness affected erodibility. Generally, longer slope increase the potential for erosion. The greatest erosion potential is at the basis of the slope and runoff velocity is the greatest, the runoff concentrates. The steeper the slope, the faster the water will flow. The faster flows, the more likely it will causes the erosion and increases the sedimentation. Accelerates erosion as it increases the velocity of flowing water. Soil having a large amount of silt-sized particles is most susceptible to erosion from both wind and water. Soil with a clay and or a sand-sized particle is less prone to erosion. So structure influence both the ability of the soil to absorb water and its physical resistance to erosion. Structure refers to the degree to which soil particles are the clumped together, forming large together, forming large clumps and pore spaces. When moist and the individual soil particles in a cohesion soil cling together to form a roughly consistency. Soil is clay soil are a very cohesive, while sand soil are least cohesive. Vegetation, a good cover of a vegetation shades the soil forms impact of the raindrops. It also binds the soil together, making it more resistant to runoff. Vegetative cover provides organic matter, slow down runoff, and filters sediment. A dense, robust cover of the vegetation in one of the best protections agents soil erosion. Biological factor and soil erosion. Biological factors that influence the soil erosion are the activity like of faulty cultivation and practices of overgrazing by animal, etc. These factor is broadly classified into following three groups: energy factors and the resistance factor and protection factor. Energy factor the include the such factor which influence the potential ability of rainfall, runoff, and the wind to causes erosion, and this ability to termed as erosivity. The other factor which directly reduce the power of the erosive isn't the reduction in length and degree of a slope through the construction of terrace and the bunds in case of the water eroded areas, and the creation of windbreaks or shelters belts in case of the eroded areas. Resistance factor, they are also called the erodibility factor, which depends upon the properties of the soil. Those factors which enhance the infiltrations of the water into the soil, reduce the runoff, and the decrease erodibility, while any activity that pulverize the soil increase erodibility. Thus, cultivation may decrease the erodibility of the clay soils, but increase that of the sand soil. Protection factor, it is related to plant cover. The plant cover protects the soil, forms erosion by the intercepting the rainfall, and the reducing the velocity of the run of and wind. A degree of protection the provided by the degree different plant covers and various considerable. Now, quiz here. The removal of a stream banks soil by water, rather falling over the sides of the streams, or the scoring form there is known as a, and which of the following is also called the coastal erosion. And the third one is the wearing away of land, and the removal of the beach and down sediments by waves, action at tidal currents, wave currents, and drainage is known as. And fourth one is which is the following statement is correct regarding accelerated erosion. Soil degradation is in India estimated to be occurring on, and which of the following statement is correct regarding the geological erosion? And wind erosion is common in, and glacier erosion is common in, and sand dunes is an example. Landslide is an example of, and the mass movement of the soil dunes of the gravitational force is called. And which of the following is considered as an agent of a soil erosion? And forms a liquid as the falling water, and solid as the glaciers. Factor affecting water erosion or soil erosion. Water erosion is due to dispersive and transporting power of the water, as in cases of the water erosion. First, soil particles are the detached from the soil surface by the raindrop force, and then transported with the surface runoff. There is a direct relationship between the soil loss and the surface runoff volume. The water erosion process in the influenced primary by climate, topography, soil, and vegetative covers. Their factor influencing the water erosion are the climate factor includes run or rainfall, temperature, and the wind. As the volume and intensity of rainfall increasing, the ability of water to detach and transport soil particles increase when storms. are frequent, intense, and of a long duration. The potential of erosion of buried soil is high. Uh, uh, Frozen soil are relatively erosion resistant. However, buried soil with a high moisture content are subject to uplift by a freezing action and are usually easily eroded upon thawing. Soil contributes to the drying of a soil and increase the need for irrigation for new planting and for applying wind erosion control practices. Soil characteristics: soil connecting high percentage of sand and silt are most susceptible to detachment basic because they lack inherent cohesive characteristics. However, the high infiltration rate of sand either prevent of a delay or runoff. Clay and organic matter content of soil increasing erodibility decrease. Vegetation cover. Vegetation create a surface obstruction for a direct falling of raindrops on the land surface as well as in the falling path of surface runoff. A good vegetative cover completely negates the effect of a rainfall on soil erosion. Topography affects the main topography factors which influence the soil erosion are land slope, length of a soil, and shape of a slope. As the slope increase, the surface runoff soil increase, thereby increasing the soil stability. The base of a slope is more susceptible to erosion than the top because a runoff the more momentum and it is more concentrate as it approaches the base of slope. The slopes may be roughly convex or mm, con- cons- convex and concave. The convex slope are about a phenomena is magnified, whereas the concave slope it is reduced. It is because in a convex slope the stiffness increases towards a bottom while it is flattened towards a bottom in case of the convex concave slope. Types of water erosion. Water erosion can be classified as sparse erosion, sheet erosion, relay erosion, gully erosion, stream bank erosion, shore erosion, and the landslide erosion. Sparse erosion, it is also known as a raindrop erosion because it is caused by the impact of raindrops on the exposed soil surface. When raindrops strike on the upon a soil surface, it forms create and bounce the water and soil up and return back around the uh, uh, around the crater. The soil may be sparged into the air up to a height of 50 to 75 centimeter, depending upon the size of a raindrop. But at the same time, the soil particles also move horizontally much as 1.50 meter on the level land surface of soil, sloping land more than a half of the sparse particles move down with the runoff. Sheet erosion, uniform removal of the soil, is the form of the thin layer or in the sheet forms by the falling water forms are given a width of a sloping land. It in the sheet erosion, two basic erosion process are the involved. The first process it is the one is the which soil particles are the detached from the soil surface by a falling of the raindrops, and it is the second one, the detached soil particles are the transported away by a surface runoff from the original place. When the rate of the rainfall exceed the infiltration rate of the soil, the excess water tends to flow over the surface of the sloping land. This falling water also detach soil particles from the land surface and the starts falling in the form of the thin layer over the surface. Erosion during this process is called a sheet erosion. The eroding, the transporting power of the sheet follows depends on the depth or the velocity of the falling water for a given a size, shape, and the density of the soil particles. Relay erosion, this types of the water erosion is the formed is in the cultivated field where the land surface is the almost irregular. As the rain starts, the water tends to accumulate it in the surface dispersion and the being to a flow following the least resistance path during moment of the water. Large amount of the soil particles are eroded from the sides and the bottom of the path, which are mixed in the falling water. This surface follow connecting a soil particles in the suspension from a move ahead and forms micro canals and the relays. Gully erosion. Relays are the small in size and can be leveled by a tillage operation. When relays get larger in the size and shape due to uh, prolonged occurrence of the flow through them and cannot be removed by a tillage operation. These are called gullies. Large gullies and their network are the called ravines. It is the advantages and the last stages of the water erosion. In other words, it is the advantage stage of a relay erosion. Some of the major causes of the gully erosion are the steepness of the land slope, soil texture and rainfall intensity, land mismanagement, incorrect agriculture practices, etc. Stream bank erosion. Stream bank erosion is defined as the removal of the stream bank soil by a water either falling over the sides of the stream of the scoring from their stream banks. Erosion is mainly aggravated due to a removal of a vegetation over a grazing or a cultivation on the areas close to streams bank. And stream bank erosion is also caused by the occurrence of a flood in the streams. The stream bank erosion due to a stream flows in the form of the scoring and the under cutting of the soil erosion. The water surface caused by the waves action of continuous process in the perennial streams. Sea erosion, shore erosion. It is also called a coastal erosion. Seashore erosion is the wearing away of a land and the removal of the beach or a dune sediments by a wave action, tidal currents, wave currents, or drainage. Waves generated by a storm's wind or a fast moving motors and craft causes a coastal erosion, which